Kansas. Committee meeting of the Senate Agriculture Natural Resources Committee. Looking forward to getting some good things accomplished this year. We're going to start our first meeting with committee introductions. And I know that if you've been in committees, you've had an opportunity to introduce yourself. You will soon learn that the chair of the Agriculture Natural Resources Committee is a little different from any other chair. People have been asking me, where the bright colors are, so I thought, well, I would start the first meeting and just sort of ease into it. This is not that bright, this green, but it is a different color jacket than what most men are man enough to wear. Ooh, yeah, I heard that too. Okay. The ranking member said she likes the pink best of all, but that'll be for another day. In any event, I will start because I am going to give you an idea of what I'm going to ask you to do when you introduce yourself. Of course, tell your name, your district number, basic boundaries or exact boundaries if you know what the boundaries are for your district. Tell a little bit about yourself, your background. We're still all getting acquainted with each other. As those of us who were on the committee last year, you look around, you will see that the majority of the committee is new members. Now, they're not necessarily new senators, but they are new members to this committee. And so I will introduce myself. We will then go to the vice chair, then the ranking member, and we'll go around the room this way to where we end up with Senator Titus being the one that is batting cleanup for us. But my name is Virgil Peck. I'm Senate District 15. Senate District 15 is in southeast Kansas on the Oklahoma state line. My home county is Montgomery. The county seat is Independence, to give you an idea geographically. The other 4 counties in Senate District 15 are Chautauqua County, Elk County, Labette County, and Neosho County. Again, all on the, 3 of them are on the state line, so we do compete with Oklahoma nonstop, it seems like. Except for being born in Wichita and living there for a year, I have lived rural Kansas my entire life. I'm 65 years of age. If you want to tell your age, by the way, that's fine. If you don't want to, that's going to be up to you. But I have never been in production agriculture, but I've always enjoyed agriculture. Got an uncle who was in production agriculture from the time I was junior high and still is. So I have a feel for agriculture. I mention that because some of you have agriculture background pretty heavily, and I would like to know that, who you are. And I am a full-time insurance agent, have been since June the 26th, 1979, about the time, Senator Shane, that you were born, right?
Well, about 10 years ago.
Yeah, well, okay, we won't go down that road. And I'm a life insurance agent. I do work with my son. He's got a storm shelter business, specializes in putting storm shelters under stairs, in homes, in closets, and some in garages. So that gives me a little bit of an opportunity to get some exercise as it relates to installing storm shelters. Been married to my wife for 47 years. We've been happily married for 28 of those 47 years. You know, you add a week here and a week there and a couple hours here, it all adds up. But and she will be in the Capitol. You will see her fairly regular. She's one of the spouses that's in the Capitol. So that's more about me than what you needed or wanted to know, but I thought I would at least give you an idea of what I'm asking of you for introducing yourself, because we're not going to have a lot of action today in the committee as it relates to committee action, but the introductions gives us an opportunity to get acquainted. Vice Chair Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Larry Alley. I'm from Winfield, Kansas, District 32, and we have Cowley County, Sumner County, Harper County, a little bit of Butler County, a little bit of Sedgwick County, and that's the new areas. I did go out to Protection, if you know where Protection is, so I'm glad to be in the center of my district, not on the east end of the district. But I grew up in that area. Grew up in Douglas, Kansas, in Butler County, and so went to school in Pittsburgh State. Graduated from Pittsburgh. This is my starting the 3rd term, and I've been on agriculture before. And I was removed from agriculture, not for my own reasons, but I was removed from agriculture for other reasons, and then back on it again. I'm looking forward to it again. I do not have an agricultural background. But we're in Farm Belt, so we know exactly what goes on out there. I grew, well, like I say, went to school at Pittsburgh in building design and construction. So I was in construction management all my life. I built apartments all over the United States when I graduated from college, and then went into home building, then went into, I worked for Boeing for 29 years in construction management for Boeing, and retired.
Good morning, everybody. Mary Ware. My district is 25. It is in Wichita, not near West Wichita, not the suburbs and not downtown. To try to describe it any more than that would take us all day. I've been on ag. This is my 7th session on ag, and it's been quite a rewarding experience being here, even though we have a new chair last year. But, other than that, it's been great. And while I am a city girl and my district is all very urban, I do have quite a few years in my 20s that I was a farmhand on an 80-acre homestead. We had a little of everything, a few chickens, a few goats, some ducks and rabbits, and a little patch of weed, and a big garden, several acres in garden, and that sort of thing. So I have a very good sense and some experience in rural life in general. My background otherwise is highly varied. I've worked for the Red Cross as a phlebotomist. I've been a massage therapist. I've worked in retail management. Oh my goodness, the list goes on. But in some ways, I find that to be an advantage, being a generalist as opposed to having just one area of expertise. And so I try to bring a lot of different thoughts to all that I do while I'm here. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was afraid we was going to run out of time, but I think we're going to make it here. I am Senate District 14. My name is Mike Fagg. I've been married for 50 years in May, and I think probably 28 years happy too. I understand that, Mr. Chairman. I've got 3 daughters, 4 grandkids. I was in community banking for 47 years and retired. So I got to do some cow-calf financing. I know what farm management reports and stuff you go through with that. Financed equipment, financed land. When you're a community banker, you get to do all that. So I was on a lot of farms and kind of feel from that side of it of what goes on. The other part was that I was the mayor of El Dorado for a while, so I've spent my whole life in El Dorado. I was a city commissioner, and of course you're chamber president, you go through all that kind of stuff for community involvement. But there's a lot of ag stuff around that area too. So I've been and gave the Bankers Award. I don't know if they still do that, Bankers Award for soil conservation. So I've been around that kind of stuff. And so that kind of tells you where I come from. My district area is the northern half of Butler, and then I've got Greenwood, Chase, Spearing, and McPherson. So it's kind of an L shape around Wichita, and I'm excited. We got a great committee, and we got a great chairman, and we're ready to roll. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Ron Reitman in Southwest Kansas, lived in Meade. I have a family, a history of farming. Had a few counties, Seward, Meade, Clark, Ford, Haskell, Hodgman, Gray. Meade's 25 miles of Oklahoma and 100 miles from Colorado. And I got 3 counties that buff against Oklahoma. And I grew up, taught, and coached in Meade, Kansas. There for 29 years, and had over 550 wins in volleyball, and took them state 11 times. Taught government, that kind of stuff, social studies. 3 kids, and a whole bunch of grandkids, and 3 great-grandkids.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Doug Shane. I'm the senator from Senate District 37, which is the northern tier of Miami County and southwestern Johnson County. So proud to represent some great agricultural families that are the farming holdouts in the expanding Kansas City metro. Happily married for 12 years. Ask me in 90 days if I'm still happily married. No, I'm just kidding. But my wife and I, we have 4 young kids. My kids are 2, 4, 6, and 8. My background in agriculture, I have a bachelor's degree in animal science and industry from Kansas State, as well as a veterinary degree and a PhD in beef production medicine and epidemiology. So my entire career has been focused in veterinary medicine and animal health. And my career has been in the animal health industry in new product development as well as global technical marketing. Today, I am a teaching professor at Kansas State and teach graduate level coursework for the animal health industry and life sciences, and also have interests with some companies in the animal health industry as well. So thank you, and looking forward to the committee.
Thank you. My name is Brad Starnes. I'm District 22 Senator, which is all of Riley County. And so within that includes the oldest land grant university in the country at Kansas State University as far as agriculture. I'm an SOB. I'm a son of a banker. And so related to ag and all the things that during the 80s when my father would come home and have to deal with those type of scenarios, what was happening during that time, especially with the farming. It was the county I grew up in, Colorado, was the largest corn producing county in the country. And so lots of sand hills, lots of water, and lots of chemicals. And so they did a lot to grow a lot of corn. So I graduated from Sterling College. I own 10 acres myself, so I consider myself an agricultural person in that sense. I have 43 plus years private parochial public schools, K-12 through college, university levels, teacher, coach, administrator. And I also worked with the construction management piece as far as with Larry and what he was referencing. I work for the state workforce initiative now called Build Up Kansas, and a great program with vocational educational programs within schools and school labor, including FFA, ag, all those things related to those things. So we just came out with a new ag welding curriculum right now as well. I've got 9 grands, 7 and under. So it is a fun time when they're at my house. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Craig Bowser. I work for the people of Northeast Kansas, Senate District Number 1. That district includes all of Atchison, Donovan, Jackson, Brown, and Nemaha counties, includes parts of Marshall County, northern Jefferson County, and kind of northwest Leavenworth County. I'm a 5th-generation Kansan. My great-great-great-grandfather came to Jackson County, Kansas from Sullivan County, Tennessee in the late 1850s to farm. And there's been a Bowser scratching dirt in Jackson County ever since. My wife and I own a small farm there. We've got a little less than 140 acres, so I'm in production agriculture. But if you ask any of the Bowser clan in Jackson County, they'll probably tell you I'm the worst farmer in 5 generations. But I try. I've got about 100 acres of row crop and 40 acres of pasture where I run some steers. I'm delighted to be on this committee. I love Kansas. I love the land, and I love agriculture. Really looking forward to it. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate this opportunity. I'm Senator Marcy Francisco. This will be my 21st year as a member of the Senate Agriculture Committee. My background is in architecture. At the University of Kansas. I did spend 2 years working for London Transport in their architecture office, but came back and have worked at the University of Kansas for the University Landscape Architect in facilities planning, space management, and the Center for Sustainability. Right now, the Legislature booklet describes my job as a homemaker. My husband and I have renovated probably 30 properties in Lawrence and try to provide homes and affordable housing for people in our community. I've also been a farm worker and continue to do that. So every fall I pick and sort chestnuts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name's Tori Marie Blue from Great Bend, Senate District 33. It's 11 counties. I'm not going to go through them. Central Kansas and Western Kansas. This is my first year in the Senate, but ninth year in the legislature. I work for my family business, which is fire protection and construction. But I was a teacher for a little bit. I taught at a very rural school district, graduating class of 14. And I married into a family that they are ranchers out in the Pretty Prairie area. So I did not grow up on a farm, but I do live right across from a wheat field, and we had the perfect, most beautiful sunsets. And it's something that I didn't realize how amazing it is till my friends from urban areas come, and they're just amazed by the views that we have out in our area. So very excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kenny Titus. I represent Senate District 18, which is all of Pottawatomie County, the north half of Shawnee County, and the balance of Jefferson County. I grew up in Great Bend. When I was young, my family farmed along the Barton-Stafford County line, had a feedlot. Family was involved with an implement dealership for a time as well. So have an ag background there. Worked as a radio broadcaster for several years after going to K-State. And then I attended law school at KU. And since then, I worked for the state for several years before running for office. I was involved in water law issues under Derek Schmidt at the Attorney General's office, and then I was chief counsel at the Department of Agriculture for 6 years. So I was involved in everything from legalizing industrial hemp in Kansas to raw milk to the Animal Health Commissioner and water rights in Western Kansas. So have a lot of background in the topics here, and I'm excited to be here. I live in Wamego now. My wife, Kara, we've been married for 9 years, have 2 sons, 5 and 6. We didn't plan quite as well as Senator Shane, but it's been a joy and excited to get to work.
Thank you, committee. We will also ask our staff to introduce themselves, and I will start with the committee assistant. We'll just go around the table in a U shape here.
Hi, I'm Patty Mills. This is my 13th year working with the legislature. Before that, I was with Department of Labor, IT department for 31 years.
Good morning, committee. Mr. Chairman, my name is Elena Rutter. I am a senior research analyst with the Legislative Research Department. This is my 5th session with KLRD and my 5th session with this committee.
Good morning. My name is Jacob Klesby. I'm a legislative fellow with KLRD, and this is my 1st session.
I'm a Sergeant 02 with AV Tech, and this is my 1st session.
Good morning, committee. I'm Heather O'Hara with Legislative Research. I'm an Iowa farm girl, and this is my 19th session with Legislative Research and my 15th session on this committee.
I'm Tamara Lawrence with the Office of Revisor of Statutes. This is my 15th session, and this is the only committee I've had the privilege to staff my entire 15 sessions in the legislature. So.
Staff are very important to us, as you will learn, particularly the freshmen. The rest of us have learned that fairly quickly, but you will learn that staff is a great resource. And yes, revisor of statutes are our employees. Research are our employees. We don't necessarily employ them, but they work for the legislature. They don't work for lobbying groups or special interest groups. They're on our team. I will direct your attention, committee, to the rules that you should have in front of you. There are only 18 rules, but I will direct your attention to number 9, and it is bolded because this committee operates a little different than most Senate committees, and I will go over some of those differences, but one is number 9. I expect you, committee members, to address conferees, each other, and staff by title, not by first name. For example, this is not Tamara. This is Revisor Lawrence. And just so you know, now other committee chairs will let you call them by the first name, and that's entirely up to them. But some states, it's a requirement that you address a person by their title. So in this committee, I ask you to address a person by your title. If you slip up once in a while, I'll look the other way. But if it's a regular occurrence, I will say something to you privately, and then if it continues, I will say something to you publicly. do not ever intend to embarrass committee members unless you step out of line. And then I don't mind embarrassing you. Now, a lot of committees on the Senate side, when the chair recognizes you, basically it's for one question. Well, that's not the way that I will operate. I am House trained. I spent 12 years in the House, so I operate a little bit more that way. When I recognize you, the first words out of your mouth should be, as most of you said, thank you, Mr. Chairman, or thank you, Mr. Chair. And then the floor is yours. When I recognize you, I'm, in my mind, turning the floor over to you. The floor is yours to ask questions. Please respect that and don't ask a dozen questions, but you don't have to look to me every time you want to ask another question. Just ask the questions. I will not take the floor back from you unless we're on a time crunch or I feel like you're wasting the committee's time. Then I will take the floor back from you. When you are finished, I ask that you return the floor to me by saying thank you or thank you, Mr. Chairman. That way, it just makes the committee run smoother. That's one thing that, again, if you look to me, can I ask one more question? I may even be writing or looking, and you're wasting your time. Just continue asking your questions until such time as you are finished or I take the committee or the floor back from you. Those were really the only two big differences is the way that I run the committee. I do ask you to always be respectful, particularly to our staff and to each other. Now, some of the special interest groups, I'll give you a long leash. If you want to hang yourself or hang them, that's going to be up to you. But just a little bit of information about that. Does anyone have any questions on anything that you saw in the rules? I didn't think you would, but I wanted to give you that opportunity. I will not be a chairman that announces on the floor committee meetings. I figured that all of you have been educated well enough you can read the calendar, either a paper copy such as this, and old guys like me get a paper copy every morning. Actually, my assistant does, or you can go online and look at the calendar and find out what the committee agenda is. The only time I will make announcements is if there's a significant change, a time change, or some legislation that's going to be talked about that had not been published in the calendar, because I do need to notify the public. Tomorrow, on that line, tomorrow we will have a report from the Kansas Department of Agriculture. They made a presentation to the Foreign Trade and Regulatory Sandbox Committee this interim. I knew agriculture was important to the state of Kansas economy, but I didn't realize how important it is. So I thought that it would be beneficial for this committee to have a report from the Department of Agriculture. It was very interesting, very enlightening for me as someone who's been in the legislature. This is my 17th session. Again, I knew agriculture was important, but I thought that it was really a good presentation. So I'm going to guess it will be Deputy Secretary Kelsey Olson that will be making the presentation tomorrow. And that will be a change from the original published calendar, but it should be on the calendar for today in your calendar and next week. Other than that, I have no further business, but we do have a request, at least one request for bill introductions. Do any committee members have a request for bill introduction? Senator Titus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to request the introduction of 25 RS 0300 regarding multi-year flex accounts.
All right. Questions? Is there objection to introducing of that legislation as a committee bill? Seeing none, the bill will be introduced. Committee members, others of you have requests for bill introductions. Seeing none, I do know that we have one. Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Chairman Peck, members of the committee. If Chairman Peck will allow me to play along for a little bit, my name is Sean Miller. I have been ag adjacent. I was a state FFA officer in Texas when I think that Senator Dr. Shane was maybe 6 or 7 years old. So I've been around agriculture for a long time. This is one of my favorite committees because of that. I really appreciate it. I am here today representing the Kansas Association of Conservation Districts. I have a bill introduction request that is 25 RS 0252. That is about the funding formula, not the funding, but the funding formula for what we call aid to conservation districts. This is a bill that we passed in the House last year, 120-3. It got to the Senate very late. It was enacted for 1 year in a budget proviso, so you've all voted on it once, but we would like to see that memorialized in statute going forward. Happy to explain more now or save it for the hearing.
We don't need you to
Perfect.
explain more now.
Thank you very much.
Without objection, the bill will be introduced. Is there objection? Seeing none, the bill will be introduced as a committee bill. No one else has said anything to me about introduction of legislation, but I will, since we're just getting acquainted. Are there other requests for bill introduction from the audience? Seeing none, he addressed Senator Shane as Doctor, and I didn't realize he had 2 doctorates, and I did say the other day something about, so you've got a DMV, and I realized, no, DMV is Department of Motor Vehicles. It's more like, I think it's probably DVM, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine. But so sometimes we do stumble a little bit on these acronyms or these letters after people's name. I have 2 letters after my name. They called JR for Junior, named after my dad. Other than that, there's nothing special. Committee, I appreciate Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say I also slipped up, I think, today in our introductions. I think I failed to mention that I represent Senate District 2, which is all in Douglas County. Much of the eastern part of the city, including North Lawrence and areas south of 23rd and parts of 2 townships. I'm very proud of my constituents in that district. Thank you.
And I didn't realize, Senator Francisco, until you just said something, that we've got District 1 and District 2. I know we don't have all the districts going around, but it's also interesting that your districts don't even close to border, right? Okay, no. Okay. But in southeast Kansas, we do have Senate District 13, Senate District 14, Senate District 15, and they all border. We know how to draw boundaries down there, but that's a whole nother topic. I have nothing further, committee, unless you have something additional. Thank you for being here. We are adjourned. See you tomorrow morning.